Hey there. So in this video, we are going to complete our dichotomous key notes. So these are handwritten notes. There is no packet page that goes along with these notes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of define or describe what a dichotomous key is. So a dichotomous key is a tool that divides organisms into smaller and smaller groups based on pairs of statements. Right, so pairs of statements, because this is a dichotomous key, right? Di meaning two, so two pairs of statements. And what we're wanting to do when we use a dichotomous key, right, is to identify the scientific name of an organism. Now, there are three rules that we're going to follow for using a dichotomous key. Rule number one, we will always start at number one. Rule number two, we're going to make sure that we always read the two statements, and we're going to go wherever it says to go. So go where it tells you. Basically, follow the directions. And then rule three, you are going to keep going until you reach the name of the organism. So let's practice a dichotomous key. So I don't have any actual organisms with me, any plants or animals, a little too noisy and, dirty or anything. So I'm going to use the next best thing to having live animals, and that's candy. So I have a bunch of candy here. So what I'm going to do is using pairs of statements, I'm going to sort this candy into smaller and smaller groups until I eventually end up with just one piece of candy. And then I will be able to identify its scientific name. So the candy I've got is Sour Punch Straw, Airheads, Smarties, 100 Grand, Chocolate Bar. I've got a Dum Dum Sucker, a Jolly Rancher, Tootsie Roll, Bubblegum, a Hershey Kiss, a Starburst, and then Werther's Original. So when I am trying to sort my organisms into two groups, I've got to make sure that I'm using not subjective statements. Like, for example, I don't want to say large versus small. This 100 Grand, first of all, I'd probably call that medium. But this is not the only size that this candy bar comes in. So I don't want to do anything subjective, like tastes good. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm using kind of physical characteristics of the candy to split it into the two groups. So, for example, when I'm taking a look at this candy, I might say like hard candy versus, like, this is hard candy versus soft candy. Or I could say chocolate, right, versus not chocolate candy, kind of like I could say sweet candy. So I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do chocolate versus non-chocolate candy. So I'm going to move this over here so I can write. So move this up here. So this is going to be number 1, A and B, right? Because I've got my 2 statements. So I'm going to say chocolate versus not chocolate. Okay. So I'm going to start with my chocolate. So I'm going to say go to 2. So 2, A and B. And then I've got my chocolate here. So I need to do another pair of statements to further split my chocolate into smaller groups. So I could say like foil wrap versus like plastic. I don't really like that though, because again, I feel like the wrappings could change. So I'm gonna do like solid chocolate versus mixed chocolate, because that'll never change. So I've got mixed chocolate, and then I've got solid chocolate. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna set these aside. So here's my mixed chocolate. So go to 3. So now I can say, all right, this is 100 grand, and this is Werther's original. So I need a scientific name for each of my pieces of candy. And in taxonomy, right, when we're doing classification, we use Latin for our scientific names. So I'm just going to make up a scientific name for my candy bars here. So for 100 grand, let's see, it's a chocolate bar. It's got caramel in it. So I'm going to say Grandium Caramelli. I think that's a good name. All right, so there's my 100 grand. And then for my Werther's original, I'm gonna say Origini Worthium. There we go. So there's my Latin scientific names. So I now need to go back up to 2B, and I'm gonna say go to 4. So 4A, 4B. Oh, I forgot the A and B right here. There we go. So here I've got a Tootsie Roll, and I have a Hershey's. Okay, well, Hershey's Kiss. There we go. All right. So for my Tootsie Roll, my scientific name, I'm gonna say Tootsie Rolli. There we go. And then for my Hershey Kiss, I'm gonna do Chocolatium Kissium. There we go. I like that. And so when I'm writing out my scientific names, I'm making sure that I have a genus and a species. The genus first letter is capital. The species first letter is lowercase. All right, so that's all of my chocolate. So I'm going to go back up to my non-chocolate, right, which was all of these guys. All right, and I'm going to say go to 5, right, because that's my next number. So 5A, 5B. So I need to figure out how to sort this into 2 groups. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say hard candy versus soft candy. So soft candy versus hard candy, because that kind of gives me an even split. Because if I did like sour, that would be 1 against everything else. And I don't really like that. So I'm going to do hard candy. And I'm going to do soft candy. All right, so let's start with the hard candy. Okay, so that's all of these guys. So I'm going to go to 6. So 6A, 6B. So I've got a Jolly Rancher, Smarties, and a Sucker. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Sucker and not a Sucker. All right, kind of split those into 2 groups. So there's only one of my suckers. This is a Dum Dum, and it's a caramel apple flavor. So I think I'm going to make this scientific name Dum Dumme Appleeye, because it's a caramel apple. There we go. So that's my scientific name there. And then my not suckers, there's still 2 of them. So I need to say go to 7, 7A and 7B. So 7A, I'm going to make my, right, I've got a Jolly Rancher, and then I have Smarties. Perfect. So for my Jolly Rancher, this is a blue raspberry. So I'm going to say Jolly Blueus. There we go. That's my scientific name for that one. And then for my Smarties, oh gosh, Candius Smartius. Smart candy. All right, so that's it for my hard candy. So I'm gonna go back up to my soft candy. Go to 8. So 8A and 8B. So here's all my soft candy. This one's probably a little bit more difficult. So I've got bubble gum, I've got a Starburst, Sour Punch Straw, and an Airhead. They're all chewy, you know, they're all kind of flexible. So I think what I'll do, I'll probably just say sour and non-sour. We'll do that. Sour and not sour. So for my Sour Punch straws, I'll say Sourium Punchium. There we go. And then for my not sour, I need to go to 9. So 9A and 9B. So I've got my Airhead versus my bubble gums. So I'm going to say bubble gum versus regular candy. So my double bubble gum, I'm going to do Doubleus Gummi. There we go. And then my regular candy, go to 10. So 10A, 10B. I've got a Starburst and I have an Airhead. So my Starburst is pink and it is watermelon flavored. So I'm going to call it Pinky Melanus. And my Airhead is a blue raspberry flavor. So Airhead, let's say Arius. And I think, yeah, I've already used Bluest, so I can't do that again. So let's do Barium. Perfect. There we go. So I have finished my dichotomous key, and I could test this, you know, so I'm going to grab a piece of candy. So, you know, here's my Hershey Kiss. So I always start at number 1, chocolate, not chocolate. Hershey Kiss is definitely chocolate, so I'm going to go to number 2. Mixed versus solid. It's definitely solid, so I'm going to number 4. It's my Hershey's Kiss, Chocolatum Kissum. I can also test to make sure that I'm using a dichotomous key correctly by using a different dichotomous key. So for example, here's a different one that I did. So using the same piece of candy, my Hershey's Kiss, I'm going to start at number 1, chocolate versus not chocolate. This is definitely chocolate, so I'm going to go to 2. Foil versus plastic packaging. It's foil. Hershey Kisses. So it still works even using a different dichotomous key. I'm able to identify, right, the scientific name of the organism or candy that I'm looking at. So that's it for these notes on how to use a dichotomous key. If you have any questions or concerns about these notes, please let me know. Thanks.